All right, we've got a NewsNation exclusive for you tonight, taking you inside the so-called death cult connected to the killing of a U.S. Border Patrol agent near the Canadian border last month. Well, today, the alleged leader of that cult, a blogger known as Ziz, faced a judge in Maryland and was ordered held without bail. Prosecutors argue that Ziz, whose real name is Jack Lasota, is a flight risk and is a danger to public safety. The 34-year-old from California was arrested on Sunday, and he's accused of leading an extremist group known as Zizians. And they're tied to the killings of 6 different people across the country, dating back more than 2 years. 2 associates of Lasota's, 32-year-old Michelle Zako of Pennsylvania and 26-year-old Daniel Blank of California, were also arrested with Lasota, and they will be held in custody as well without bail. The trio were busted in Maryland by someone who called police after they noticed a bunch of people living in white box trucks on private property. And even that bizarre note hardly scratches the surface. So let's bring in NewsNation's senior national correspondent, Brian Entin, who's been digging into the Zizians and spoke exclusively to a friend of one of the latest victims. Brian, this story is wild.
Yeah, it's wild, Elizabeth. Investigators say radical veganism, transgenderism, and artificial intelligence were all the passions of this death cult. The leader was arrested on Sunday, as you said, but not before a string of killings across the country, including a border agent. This is the accused leader of a cult-like group known as the Zizians, Jack Lasota, leader of the group of brainiac vegan computer scientists linked to the killing of Border Patrol agent David Maland and 5 other homicides in Vermont, Pennsylvania, and California.
Some call it a death cult. Some call it a vegan cult. Someone did go to the residence, and they were met by someone at that cabin who was wearing a sword-type weapon.
NewsNation reviewed court records and the recent arrest of the cult leader that tell the story of how the group of young, highly intelligent computer scientists met online and shared anarchist beliefs, some identifying as transgender. Their violent rampage started in 2022, which was reported by local news outlet Open Vallejo, when police say 82-year-old Curtis Lind was stabbed with a sword by 3 members of the Zizian cult. He lost an eye in the attack and was later allegedly killed by the cult members who were squatting on his Solano County, California property. I spoke with one of Lynn's closest friends. Can you tell me what he said led to the attack and what happened?
Basically, what led to it was the idea, I think, that these transgender, homicidal, computer scientist vegans thought that they could get away with not paying him any rent by killing him. And they jumped him and tried to chop him up and dissolve him in a tank of lye, was their intent.
The friend says he took these computers from box trucks on the property that he says the cult members used for surgeries, and he says he saw scalpels and other surgical instruments.
What looked like the beginnings of an operating room. I got the impression from what I was seeing that they had been engaging in or starting to engage in surgeries, like transgender surgeries in one of the box trucks.
After the shooting of the border agent, investigators found pistols, ammunition, night vision goggles, face respirators, a ballistic helmet, shooting range targets, and radios in the suspect's car. A former friend of one of the suspects says she dropped off the radar before joining the cult.
It seems like based on what was in the car, they might have been preparing for some sort of operation or violence of some form in terms of having bullets and walkie-talkies and wanting not to be observed.
It's all very disturbing. The leader of the cult published dark and violent blogs, Elizabeth, describing a theory that the brain had 2 sides that could hold different genders and a desire to kill each other. Investigators are being tight-lipped about this cross-country investigation. Elizabeth?
Transgender, homicidal, computer nerd vegans. Wow. Brian Entin.
Yeah, it's a lot.
My God, that's some story. All right, thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.